So we're going to talk about native plants in the garden, how to use them, and I need your help for the next, this is only 25 minutes now left, that we're going to cover a whole bunch of things. I want you to know the proper official definition for native plants. I'd like you to know what are the proven benefits of native plants and how to install it in your garden so they get a good head start. And finally, I want you to be able to name 3 native plants that are loved by native bees and 3 others that are loved by garden designers because they think those plants look fabulous. So, what is a native plant? Natives, the definition by the U.S. Natural Resources Conservation Services, are those plants that are found here in the U.S. before European settlement. Everything that's not here then is a non-native. And there are plants that become naturalized. Non-natives can get established, don't need any help, and become naturalized. But they're not natives. So native is not just specific to before European settlement, but also specific to a location. On the maps, green indicates presence. For example, goldenrods are found throughout the United States, into Canada to Alaska. So they're considered native to North America. While Douglas aster are found in those smaller number of states, shown in green in the lower map, and so they're considered native to the Pacific Northwest. So native is 2 components: time frame, before European settlement, and locale. There are many purported benefits of native plants. When you read about them, let's look at some of them. According to the Oregon Flora Project, there are about 35 kinds of native plants in Oregon. We can think growing native plants in our gardens as a way to conserve our natural heritage and diversity. And in fact, when we go out into natural or wild areas, the scenery is mostly made up of native plants. So they give us a sense of place, a regional look. You would have heard claims of native plants are adapted to local soil and climate, and they need very little input, so you can put them in your garden and forget about it. There is no good data to support that. Sorry to disappoint. So the question gardeners need to ask, to be honest with ourselves, is, in our gardens, are we providing the same kind of condition as the habitat of this native plant? Chances are no. You also would have heard the claims of native plants benefit a lot of wildlife. That's true for some species. The probably most famous examples are the Carolina chickadees, a bird that relies on the caterpillars that feed on native trees. And the caterpillars provide the protein in order to sustain the chicks during breeding time. Okay. And we all know about the monarch butterflies and their reliance on milkweed to complete their life cycle. So to generalize, there are a lot of wildlife that are specialists. They need certain kind of food in order to survive and thrive. And in those instances, those native plants are very important to their well-being. However, non-native plants do a lot to benefit wildlife as well. In fact, a comprehensive research reviewing more than 100 published studies looking at natives versus non-natives in their contribution to wildlife abundance and diversity, variety and sheer numbers, show across the board for different kinds of wildlife or animals, they need a huge variety of factors in order for them to do well. And I listed some examples for birds, and that's the same for amphibians, reptile, insects, pollinators, and native plant may be one of a long list of variety of factors. So if you're a gardener and you don't find space for native plants in your garden, there's no reason to feel guilty. But if you are able to add native plants, there are some proven benefits. Now, I've just refuted that don't just plant a native and forget about it. So quick review of what are the right ways to put a plant in our garden. We all have heard of right plant, right place. Match what the plant needs: sunshade, type of soil, moisture requirement, and nutrients. And we know they can vary a great deal from plant to plant. Match what the plant needs to what your garden offers. And make sure you use proper planting techniques. And this is what we know, the latest. In case you missed, we have a video that's shown here that you can watch that gives a lot more detail. But the highlights are depth of the hole, the planting hole, should be the same depth as the roots. Width should be at least twice the depth or wider. So the planting hole is a shallow bowl, not a deep pit. Secondly, create in the center a mound to support the roots. Always take the roots out of the container, look at it carefully, and correct any problems. And I don't have time to go into details, but the video will explain it in a lot more detail. And distribute the roots on the mound, filled in with not amended stuff, but the native soil that's broken up. And water in well, and then after planting, take measures, mulching, not walking on soil to keep soil from becoming compacted. To complete the planting, make sure you water it very, very well so there is good contact between the roots and the soil. And arborist wood chips is one of the best mulch materials to use if you can get it free. So, oh, I forgot to say, depending on the kind of plant, normally it takes at least watering the first season, if not longer, potentially second, third season during the summer in order to help get it established. So now we have covered the top three things, and we're going to get to the plants part. We're going to look at some plants that are attractive to native bees. So what do native bees look like? We have anywhere from 500 to 800, that's just an estimate, of kinds of native bees in Oregon. But we know very little about them. For example, the picture in the middle are openings to underground bee tunnels or nests. Would you have known that if I didn't tell you? When you look at the picture, do you still believe me? You think, oh no, those are ants underneath. Well, they're bees. I got them from the experts, and he swore by it. So this is a gallery of some of the native bees that are likely to be in our gardens, but we don't recognize them. There are many small ones that might have been mistaken for gnats. Some might have been mistaken for flies. We will probably, most of us recognize bumblebees because they are big and loud. And so 90% of the Oregon bees are solitary. They live alone. They dig a tunnel and live, reproduce their youngs, and that's how they live. And of these bees, more than 2/3 live underground. That's why we don't know a whole lot about them. And less than 1/3 are above ground in tunnels, crevices in wood. So I'm going to get to a study that is undergoing at Oregon State University Garden Ecology Lab, looking at a variety of native plants and how they perform in attracting native bees to use them. So the study began in 2017 as the first season. I'm going to show you data from 2017 and 2018. And then 2019, we're looking for more data to come in. So in your handout is the website for Garden Ecology Lab. You should follow it. They put up blogs and information so you can continue to track it. Now, the graph here shows vertical bars are the number of bees visiting the plant over 5 minutes. So the bigger the bar, the more attractive the plant, right? And then secondly, in every bar, there are different colors. Yellow is honeybee, green is green bee, blue is bumble, and orange are the other natives. So they haven't had time to do all the detailed segregation of the bees, so they lump them into groups to give us a general idea. Now, I have a lot of plants in the garden that attract honeybees, and I really would like to add more plants to attract other than honeybees because you know, not that I'm discriminating against them, but they're European imports, okay? And so if I really want to focus on native bees, I would be looking at the bar, not including the bottom gold portion. Get that? All right. So we can see the results out of 2017, and you say, wow, overwhelming. Now add to that, we have 2018, and you say, how am I supposed to keep track of this and get down to what am I supposed to do? All right, easy. I did the homework for you. So here's a list of the plants that are used in the study, okay, the native plants. And it's in your handout, okay? So you don't have to look at it now. On the screen are the annuals used, and then my next slide would be the perennials used. And to make it even easier, I just use the letters A, B, C, D to help point out what you need to really focus on. So remember we were talking about attracting bees, total versus natives, minus the honeybee part. So I use A to say bees that are, plants that are that did really well in 2017 in total bee attraction. But if you want to focus on native bees, you want to look at B. Those are the top attractors of native bees in 2017. Get that? So 2018 is the same thing, C, D. So if I only want to get plants for native bees from 2017 and 2018, I would just want to look at the plants that's showing the results column, B and D. Is that right? All right, so what plant have B and D? California poppy, very good. What about here? Douglas aster and goldenrod. All right, so if you want to just make it simple, here's the answer. The 3 plants you put in your garden to attract native bees: goldenrod, Douglas aster, and California poppy. That's it. All right? But if you say, no, I want to be a connoisseur, I'm going to do some more specialized things that will attract green bees more, or bumblebees more, then you go back and look at the charts, which are in this presentation that's being recorded and will be a video on YouTube, or you can go to the Garden Ecology Lab and look at those bar graphs that are on their website. Got it? Okay, so now we have the last piece. So a lot of the complaints I hear from people about native plants is, they don't look good, They're not attractive, they're too messy looking, all kinds of reasons why we should not use them. So instead of asking native plant experts, who probably pretty much love everything native, I asked the people who were pickier. So I asked garden designers and nursery professionals who know a lot. They sell all kinds of plants. They use all sorts of plants in garden designs and to clients. And I said to them, could you nominate some plants that have superior look, that will behave well in the garden, and you can find them in the nurseries? So these are the 4 people who helped us out. So all of this information I'm going to show you on the screen are in your handout. In fact, the handout has more than what I have time to show you. All right, so remember, we're going to match the general appearance of the plant, the condition it will thrive in, to your garden location, right? So I try to summarize it for you. I'm going to show you 3 deciduous trees. All right, they get to 20 to 30 feet big. First one, Cascara, likes a moist, shaded location. It's got all kinds of benefits that are in your handouts we don't have time to talk about. Vine maple can take full sun to full shade, and in full sun, it will give you a better fall color. And Western serviceberry has fragrant white flowers, edible fruits for humans, and it can take sun to part shade. Okay? And in your handout, I give you information in general about the kind of soil moisture requirement for the summer. So we've looked at some deciduous small trees. Now let's look at some evergreen shrubs. And these are 10 to 15 feet high size. All right, so coast blue blossom, ceanothus, lots of varieties, but this is the native species, thirstiflorus. And it has nice flowers, takes full sun, and in general, once they're established, they don't want summer water. They're very, very drought tolerant, and they look best in full sun. Silk tassel is something that, Garrya elliptica is something that a lot of people don't know. It doesn't seem to be used a lot, but it has a really attractive look to it. Look at the catkin. Look at these graceful, droopy catkins. I mean, they're just really fantastic. So if you have, and it's evergreen, so if you have a sunny place, even to part shade, this may be a good plant to use, sort of, in the back, not a center stage location. And the Pacific wax myrtle used to be called America, and now it's Morella, California, is a very odd plant because in all of these plants, this is the only one you can shear into shapes, hedge, however you want it. It takes pruning extremely well. Now let's look at a number of shrubs that are more medium size, 10 feet or smaller. Ocean spray, you'll recognize the white flowers. It's kind of a graceful, droopy form. It's good for a sunny woodland. If you put it in too much deep shade, it's going to become lankier. Manzanita, this is a plant, not many people use it, and it should be used more. The best use is a dry hillside, not watered in the summer. If you have a place that has full sun, poor, lean soil, no water, no irrigation in the summer, this is the plant for you. This is Arctostaphylos, is a genus that have a lot of species. I showed a couple of native forms here, Columbiana and Media. And they can come in the form of small tree, shrubs, multi-branched, to the example here in the lower left corner can be grown as a ground cover, about 2 feet high and then very wide. and a dense ground cover of evergreen leaves to suppress weeds. What I like, I have 3 of these in my garden. They don't grow very fast. They have a gorgeous, gorgeous bark, which is a wonderful feature year-round, especially in the winter. They have very early spring flowers that attract bees and bumblebees, and then they have attractive fruit. Probably most of us are familiar with flowering currant, so I'm not going to say much about it. Evergreen huckleberry can take, again, sun and shade, quite a range of conditions. They tend to be slow growing and very nice, manageable form. And the best thing is they have fruits that you can harvest for jam and jelly. And finally, a small shrub, only about 2 feet high and 3 feet wide, is a spirea, but that's the native form here. So the reason why your handout has not only a common name, but also the scientific name, is so that you are able to go to the nursery and not say, I want a spirea, but you are asking for spirea butifolia, okay? I threw in a number of other plants just for good measure to give a little balance, because not everybody has big open spaces. If you want to make a room for native bees that tunnel, nest underground, and you have a bare area that you can stand not mulching. Keep it bare, not putting a thick layer of mulch over the soil. Just sparsely plant out some of these evergreen grasses, but leave space in between, so it's not a dense cover. That is a good habitat to invite native bees to tunnel under. This plant, Sedosia virgata, is on the native plant study list on bee attractiveness. It's not a great performer in terms of attracting bees, but it's a pretty one, and the garden designers pick it. So it's a perennial for sun. But there are a lot of other possibilities for shadier spots. Deer fern is one. And the interesting thing about this fern is it has 2 kinds of fronds. So there is a thick mat of low fronds below, and then the reproductive fronds come straight up, looking like a totally different plant, and give it kind of added interest. And this is the final slide. I want to throw in an annual. And it's Collinsia grandiflora. It's got grass-like kind of blades or foliage, has a sea of small blue and white flowers, and it's considered very attractive by some of the garden designers. So that is it.